So today we're going to work on the architectural detail behind the boats, finish that, so we can start on the boats. So for that architectural detail, we're going to use exactly the same colors we used last week, and that is ultramarine violet, burnt umber, yellow ochre, and titanium buff. So we'll simplify this. We should simplify it as much as possible because the boats are going to be busy. So we don't want a busy background as well. So let's start with mixing ultramarine violet with burnt umber and adding some titanium buff. And that will give us a nice dark color, but not too dark. See, that's why ultramarine goes in, to make the burnt umber darker, but with a bit of purple in it. And of course, by adding titanium buff, you can see that color. You can see that's like a brown purple color. And it's perfect for shaded area. So I'm going to take this. That might be a little bit too dark. So I'm going to bring in titanium buff and ultramarine violet, but no burnt umber at this point. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's a good color. That's more than enough. So I'm going to put it here. I can put it only where there's dark, but I think it's better to put it all over. And we will see the shape of all of this architectural detail once we start highlighting. Once we get to the stairs, what we're going to do is put the dark color where there's actually dark and leave the highlighted part alone. Let's take a bit more of the titanium buff for this area, so we can see what we're doing. Because acrylic dries darker and it's over orange, so here we go. This is a really long stairs. It goes from here to here, from right to left. It's okay. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, because eventually the boats are going to cover most of this part. So in this case, I'm going dark here and Not sure how many steps there are there, but there's quite a bit. Okay. I'm going to pause a bit so you can get to this stage. And then we'll take it from there. Okay, now I'm going to highlight. So we're going to forget about the ultramarine violet, and we're going to take burnt umber and yellow ochre and add titanium buff. We don't need ultramarine violet at this point. You can take a bit of more yellow in there and more ultramarine. I'm sorry, more titanium buff. Let's see. We might need to add white eventually to this color. Yeah. It's good. Now, when we get to this part, okay, this is all the way to the steps. I simplified the steps a lot. So they're like about, in the reference, there are about one, two, three, four steps, and I just added 3 in here. I put in there 3. Okay, so I'm going to take this line in that way, this way. And in the back, I'm just going to put kind of brush strokes suggesting kind of wall or stuff happening in there. Nothing defined. Change my brush. Now, at this point, take a bit of more titanium buff and I made a mistake with the darks. So I'm going to highlight where the highlight should be. And I'm just going to go back and adjust the dark part. It's easy when the colors are simplified. I'll highlight again the steps. Go back to this. Put a suggestion of stone. We can change the color a bit, add a bit of brown. Oh, a little bit of brown. A bit of yellow, ochre. So the stones don't look like they're exactly the same. Now, all of this I'm not concerned about because the focal point is actually the boats, not this. This is just the background for the focal point. A bit of highlights in here. Okay, let's do that. Let's take a bit of darker, a little bit of a darker brown and push that wall in. A bit of brown in here. Push it that way. And this one will come this way. Again, let's take darker and put a suggestion of stone on this side. See, with acrylics, it dries darker. So I'm going to highlight a tiny bit certain areas. Okay. Same on this side. Yeah. I know there will be a tree there, but still, should it's all the way here. Steps go all the way So this is like a really wide steps in here. Let's go this way. Try to match a bit. And that one, we're not going to be able to see. So, right. I really want to simplify the wall or any detail behind the boats. So there are stones in here. There's a wall. And if I want to put anything on top of that, on the boat itself, that's fine. Doesn't matter at that point. Also, this part of the picture is darker, which is great because that will show the boats more. This way we can see the boats. Okay, I think that's good. We don't need to go more than that. We don't need to do more than this. We'll put eventually a tree right here. It's good. Okay, let's darken the wall right here. And actually, instead of having a step, let's make it all wall, darker. So we can see, I know, I'm sorry, I know, but it will look better. Not just the ones behind not all of the steps, just the ones behind the boat. Darken that, just with burnt umber, a bit of ultramarine, and even a bit of titanium buff. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, John. That's better. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Right, and let's highlight this wall. a little bit more. I like that. Okay. And do the reflection. So I'm going to take brown or burnt umber, ultramarine, violet, and a bit of titanium buff, because that's too dark. These two colors together without titanium buff are a bit too dark. And let's darken this wall a bit and do a reflection. And then I'm going to add titanium buff, a bit of yellow ochre, and I'm going to reflect this part. And actually this part goes, let's go a little bit darker from what I'm seeing in the reference. And let's stretch this reflection all the way. To where the steps are. I'll wait for it to dry a bit and then we'll just highlight this wall a bit more with a kind of small brush strokes of suggestion of stone. Just a bit, small ones here and there, because they're far. That's good. Okay. All right, let's put the tree in. Sap green, yellow ochre, and maybe a round brush, good size round brush. This tree is going to be on the side, left side, so it's not a focal point. Let's take some sap green and a bit of yellow ochre in it. And let's do that. You know what? I'm going to bring it in this way. So it's the focal point here. It's there. It's better. So all I'm doing right now is pushing the paint around. We're going to have, eventually, we have to put some of the brown of the building in between where the orange is. Not too dark. We'll just use ultramarine violet and brown and some, if we need to, if we find that we need to do that, but we might be able just to get away with just putting the tree like a thick, more of a thick tree in here. Fluffing up the part, other side of that tree. Now, I don't know, I cannot see the base of the tree in the reference. So I'm assuming, okay, I can see it in a different reference. And actually, the tree doesn't go all the way down. So what we'll do, the best way to do this is to highlight the lower part and separate the lower part from the upper part and make this into kind of a bush. All right, let's see, take a bit of white and mix more yellow ochre in my green and try to, or actually get some cadmium yellow light and put it in there. But I think we can get away with just yellow ochre, some white, and green. Let's do part of the tree too. So I'm adding yellow ochre, a bit of white, and sap green, and I'm just highlighting part of the tree. Well, I have to keep in mind the tree is not the focal point, just the background. I take a bit of burnt umber, mix it with my sap green, and darken this part a bit in here, the lower part. Just leave it at that. That will work. Okay, so this is how it's going to look. It's looking this week. Next week, we'll work on the boats.